Should interns be paid? Stick around. My answer may surprise you.
Be strong.
Internships were a big part of my coaching journey. Right out of college, I was able to get an internship with the Kansas City Royals as a strength and conditioning coach, while also doing a volunteer position with my college, where I played football as an assistant defensive back coach and assistant strength coach. From there, I was very fortunate to get a internship opportunity with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers down in Tampa, Florida. Moved there and was able to move on up through the ranks with Tampa Bay. But those experiences helped shape me as a coach and still continue to help me in my career today. I'm able to leverage those experiences in a variety of ways. And so as a whole, internships can be very, very beneficial to you as a coach. Internships evolved from the old school apprenticeships from medieval times, where young apprentice would go and live and work with a master tradesman and learn the trade. And it wasn't until that tradesman and the apprentice felt like they were prepared to go off would they get their blessing and be able to go off and start their trade business. Internships, although similar, have not nearly been as effective as apprenticeships in helping coaches go off to get full-time employment. In fact, many coaches go off to chase their dreams with a mountain of debt that they've collected through a number of internships stacked on top of one another. There are very few paid internships that exist. Even though the research shows that paid interns often go off to have way more success in the marketplace, there's still only a few jobs that exist. Unpaid internships are all about perspective. If you consider the knowledge that you gain from working with a master strength coach or somebody that has been very successful in the profession, you consider the network that you're able to gain and the earned recommendations that you can gain from the experience that you're able to leverage throughout the rest of your career, they're priceless. They can more than pay for themselves. Add on top of that the ability to get college education credits, and that's definitely something that is worth you doing in your career. So there's two types of internships that I think most people should be aware of. One is, in my book, any experience that's done prior to you graduating is considered an observation experience to me. You shouldn't be put in a position to do anything more than just spot, help motivate, help clean up, those types of things. Just basically be a fly on the wall during your observation experience. It's not until you go off to do your academic credit in the last semester of your senior year, or you do an internship after your college experience, do you really start to get into the true value of the internship opportunities. The U.S. Department of Labor Fair Labor Standards Act outlines 6 different criteria that you must uphold for an unpaid internship to be legal. First, there should be similar training as to what they would get in an educational environment, meaning that there should be some sort of curriculum that exists for the interns. Next, the internship experience should benefit the intern and not necessarily the employer. Third, the internship should not displace another paid employee, meaning that there should be being done by somebody more qualified just because you can get cheap labor in their place. Fourth, training derives no immediate benefit to the employer. In fact, it should come at some sort of cost to the employer. Very often employers will hire somebody on knowing that they're going to hire them full time, but keep them on as an intern to do on-the-job training to avoid having to pay them additional money on the front end. Fifth, there should be no guarantee of a job at the conclusion of the internship experience. Lastly, the employer and the intern understand that the intern is not entitled to any wages for their time spent as an intern. If you follow those 6 basic guidelines, you can ensure that you're putting on a legal, compliant internship experience. And if you are an intern, making sure that you understand that those are kind of your innate rights as an intern. Now, often jobs, they're tough to come by, and the internship experience is definitely a rite of passage and something that most people are not necessarily looking for free labor. They're simply looking for opportunities to be given to young coaches, because that's ultimately how most of us all got our start. So there's a couple different things that I think we can do with trying to improve this process. First, I think everyone should try to do, especially these days, an observation experience during undergrad. I think the observation experience gives the intern or the observation student the opportunity to kind of see a little bit about the job and determine if it's something that they want to commit to and invest their time and energy into in a more formal setting. Second, I do believe wholeheartedly in the volunteer internship experience. I think every coach should go through at least a semester where they're volunteering their time, they're going through the rite of passage, they're showing and demonstrating the commitment to the field. And I think it's important to be able to leverage that for the rest of your career, to be able to say that you literally did that job for free and that there was higher motivations beyond just the dollar. I think that's something to always be able to have in your back pocket when you need it, because so many of us get into this field, into the coaching profession, because we want to make an impact on people's lives. And the dollar is secondary. And for most of our careers, dollar is, we're maybe not getting what we deserve. And at the point when you do get to the point where you're making a significant amount of money, sometimes there's no shortage of people that are lining up to say that you're being paid too much for the job that you're doing. Now, here's where I think things get interesting. I think once you've completed a internship experience, either for college credit after, in your last semester or right after college, additional internships should be avoided unless they're paid. I think we should be making an effort to create fellowship positions. Fellowship positions could be paid at minimum wage. They could be combined with things such as the CSCCA practicum, where they have to have X number of hours of practicum experience, and then you pay for some additional hours on top of that. But I think we need to be advancing the field in general to start to make it so that people are making that next step, that they are getting paid and continuing their journey or showing some sort of advancement on their resume. If you're unable to find those types of positions, because again, the market dictates things. I wish we could just snap our fingers and there'd be more money. And I don't think there's any shortage of people wishing that they had more money to pay staffing. Ultimately, there's just not that many jobs that exist, and there's just not that much budget out there to go around. So at that point, I think it's on us as coaches to create our own opportunities. We forget that, in the strength and conditioning community, but in the coaching community as well, these jobs are still in their first 100 years or even 200 years, and it's still being developed. So there's not enough positions that, not everybody has the number of coaches that they need. Not everybody has even a coach at all. And so this field was born out of a time when we had to create, there was people in our profession that had to create jobs from nothing. And many of us are benefiting from the hard work that's been done before us without really championing the same spirit of ingenuity and entrepreneurship that it takes to continue to advance and create more jobs. There's too many people that are stopping, throwing their hands up, saying, I've got my degree, I've got my certifications, where's my job? Instead of going out and making things happen like their forefathers did as well. So my advice is seek out an experience where you can, volunteer your time in exchange for a title, or, find, ways to Frankenstein position. So example, if you're a strength and conditioning coach, you could go be a assistant football coach, assistant wrestling coach at a high school, maybe be a substitute teacher in exchange for them giving you also the head strength coach title. That helps show the value of the position to the school by you getting in there doing a great job. You never know, that may lead to a full-time position, but you're also now getting paid while you're continuing your experience, and you're able to leverage that to continue to move on in the profession. What I would then do is I would take what I call mini internships, where you go on your Christmas break, your spring break, any holiday break, and you go and you volunteer for a week at a time or a couple days at a time, just to continue to enhance your network and meet additional coaches, demonstrate your work ethic, demonstrate your personality. And those will be the things that ultimately help decide whether or not you're going to end up getting employed later on down the line. So I would never get on here and tell you that I don't think that there should be internships, nor will I tell you that I think that we need to limit the opportunities for coaches just because we don't have the budget to be able to continue to pay them. I think we got to get creative. I think we got to find and establish some best guidelines, some best practices to try to help elevate the profession in general. And so doing a semester-long internship in their senior year or right out of college, I think is important. So the answer to the question, should interns be paid, I believe is both. We should find ways to continue to protect the apprentice relationship. I think we need to continue to try to help coaches get their start in this profession. But from there, I think we also need to be creative in how we find solutions to people to get coaches continuing to progress in their field without going into a mountain of debt to do internship on top of internship. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please hit subscribe and like. Just helps me continue to help as many coaches as I can. And I also want you to drop in the comments below if you agree or what you think. Should an intern be paid or not be paid? I'd like to hear your answers, and I'll make sure to respond as well. Till next time, guys, have a great week, and I'll talk to you later.